Okay, we are moving to the last lesson on 3.1. And this is our learning target. You are going to be able to create an inequality given a word phrase. And that's that real life application that we had talked about on our formal learning scale. So here's the vocab words that you need to be fluent with when we're talking about inequalities. Remember, an inequality means not equal. It means that it's equal to a bunch of different things, not just one thing like we did in chapter 2. So here, x can be a lot of things, and that's why we use a number line to represent the solutions. We have at least, at most, no more than, no less than. Those are all inequalities vocabulary. So what does at least mean? And with the election just happening yesterday, if I said you have to be at least 35 years old to run for presidency, what do you think that means?
You gotta be 35.
Or
Greater.
or older. I need to be 35 or older. So at least means greater than or equal to. If you have an at least, it represents greater than or equal. I have to be 35 or older than 35 to run for presidency. And if I say at most, like the bus can have at most 60 kids on it. What does that mean?
There can only be 60 kids on the bus.
Or less than 60 kids. So it's not an equal. It's not the bus has to be 60 kids. It's the bus has to be less than 60, or the bus can equal 60. So it would be a less than or equal to. So if you see today in your vocab words, at least, it represents bigger than or equal. At most means less than or equal. And then you have a couple other situations. No more than. Okay, no more than, like I can have no more than 35 kids in this classroom. What does that mean?
35 kids or less.
35 kids or less. So that means I can't be more. If it's no more, that means I have to be smaller than. But I can also be equal to. No less. So in order to host a party, I want no less than 10 people to come, or it's a waste of my time. Right? So what does no less than mean? I want no less means that you need to be bigger than, or you can be equal to. So those are the vocab words that you're going to be associated with today that a lot of 8th graders get mixed up. So reference your notes as needed. All right, so here's the first one that we want to create an inequality for. A teenager can have no more than one passenger for the first 6 months of driving. So what does that mean? So a teenager, T, let's call the teenager T. So if the teenager can have no more than, what does that mean? Can they have more than one person or smaller than one person?
Smaller.
So they have to have less than, or they can have, that's an equal, or equal to one passenger. A classroom can seat 36 students.
36 or less.
Well, but you always want your variable first. So I want to say my students, I'll just go ahead and call my variable S for students. My students has to be what, bigger than or less than?
36 less than.
I have to be less than or I can equal 36 kids. Ooh, speed limit. The speed limit on a highway, or the speed limit on Highway 10 is 65 miles per hour. So your speed, let's just call speed S2. Your speed, does that mean you go faster or slower than 65?
Slower.
Slower, legally. You go slower or you equal the speed limit.
Can't you go 5 miles an hour over?
Well, but let's just be legal here. Legally, the limit means you cannot go faster than 65 miles per hour.
I don't know.
Okay, it's getting to be that winter time one of these days coming up soon. And the amount of money you need to buy a snowboard is $350. So your money, do you want more than $350 or less than $350?
More.
I want more than $350, or I can equal $350. So do you feel like you can, if I give you a word phrase, that you can turn it into an inequality? Please remember, when you're given a word phrase, you can always check all those vocab words to see which inequality symbol you would use.